variable voltage build, guys. Voltage mod build. What you're gonna need is the most essential stuff is the PCB, of course. Okay, so one of these PCBs. Alright, these are DC to DC step down converters. You can purchase this at soseliquid.com. That's soseliquid.com. So you need one of those. You need a LCD, LED. Sorry, I keep saying LED readout. This is actually optional. You don't really need this, but having one would be kind of helpful to adjust your voltage. That you need a battery cradle that holds two 18650 batteries in a series connection. Okay, in a series, which means that the bottom side here, the positive and negative, has to be connected. So it's like you're stacking a battery. You need one of these, and you need a clicky button. You can have any amp, 3 amp and above, because these are a 3 amp chip, but you would want 3 amp and above. But just to be safe, you would get these clicky buttons. These are 10 amp switches, okay? 10 amp switches, pretty much safe in all levels. It's always best to go with 10 amp switches. And this will also be for sale at soseliquid.com. So that, as far as stuff that's kind of, hard to get, right? Like the PCBs or these switches, like this kind of switch, at least the 10 amp ones, they will be available at soseliquid.com. And you need obviously a 510 connector. You can just take it off an old Ego like I did. You will need a toggle switch. Toggle. On and off, on and off. And I'm going to cut this one and make it very short. So that's for later as we go along. Okay, and that's pretty much all the kind of components you need. You also need an enclosure. I'm just going to be building it in this. I've already started drawing out my template to make cuts out of it, put little dots where the holes are going to be, and all that. Okay, so I've already kind of templated this out, sorta, kinda. All right. Have some plastic or some kind of thing where you could prop up the board off the aluminum surface if you're using a metal enclosure. I'm going to use this and then epoxy it. Okay, so you will also need epoxy. And what I use is some just cheap Loctite epoxy. Okay, that is a binary mix. So basically, it's two different e-liquids. You squeeze it in e-liquid. Two different liquids. You squeeze it in a cardboard or wherever, and then you stir it, and it will start to harden over time. So just do it a little bit at a time. Stir it, and then do wherever you have to go. These you should put in front of a fan for about a day. Okay, so I'm gonna do all my epoxying stuff, and hopefully get that out of the way so that I don't have to epoxy anything. I'm pretty sure I still have to epoxy more stuff. Okay, but as far as the bottom base to prop up the chip, I'm gonna go ahead and epoxy that today, and I'll be using this plastic piece. I already made a cutout for where I want to cut. Okay, as far as tools you need, all the tools is kind of, everything you need in my build, how to build a mechanical mod, you're going to need here, and then some more, okay? So the tools you need, soldering iron, and just one of these will do. One of these battery power soldering irons will be fine. Alright, this is what I used. I already did all the soldering, so I'll take a picture of it, post it up. You'll need a drill. Obviously, I have a drill. You need a drill set with all little drill bits for different sizes. You will need a Dremel. I love this Dremel. Dremel, a hot glue gun, just to kind of set everything in place, okay? Hot glue, yeah, it's easy to work with and it bonds well, but the problem is, it doesn't stick that well. You can pull it out and just pop right off. So hot glue is a good thing to kind of put it there where you want it, but you want to put another adhesive on there to kind of make it really harden, and that is why I'm using epoxy. Okay. Also, crazy glue is a good option, but also know that crazy glue is also it works well, it doesn't last long. Okay, crazy glue will work really well for a certain time, and then the adhesive will fail. So epoxy works incredibly well and lasts freaking forever. The only issue is it takes like, I don't know, a day to a week to set. Okay, so that being said, Crazy Glue is a good option to kind of, if you just want to build it real quick and use it for a little bit but not have it an everyday vape. Epoxy is a better option. It'll take you longer. It's harder to work with, but it'll last. Okay, that's why I use epoxy. And I use epoxy in pretty much all my builds, guys. So it's just that I have like 10 of those binary mixes. And that is pretty much all you'll need for this build, okay? And then starting from now, I'll start popping up pictures of my steps on how I did this and all that. And if you guys want to get a step-by-step of how to build this, I gotta make another one of these first of all, and then I gotta shoot one by one by one. I shoot everything. I don't want to do that. That's why I'm doing it this way, kind of make the video shorter, and then it'll still give you an idea of how to put everything together. Okay, right? So this is the template where I did make up all my holes, and then I started kind of putting the hole placement with marker. This is the side view. I'm getting all the components ready to really start this build. I'm checking the points and all that, double checking again. This is where I put epoxy onto the little 2 plastic points. I did drill out the plastic so I could thread screws in there. I put the switch in, and I put the connector in. Another view of the epoxy with the connector. After I put the epoxy in, I did clip it down on top. There's a piece of rubber up there. Here's another view. I did put a piece of rubber up there to hold in that 510 connection more tighter. So this is pretty much the bulk of it. Starting from here, now I already put the piece. This is the completed mod. I already put the PCB in, and I put the battery cover right on top of that. Here's another zoomed in picture where you see the connector, how I soldered. I did cut the leads very short so I don't create any more resistance. So it does hit very hard, and it does hit very hard. The chip is right underneath, and it's working great. Here is the closed and completed back portion. You could go ahead and compare the size to the 7-Up can, and it is a bit shorter when you lay it flat, but it is wider. Okay, this build wasn't hard to do. It was just more tedious than it was like building. If you could build a mechanical mod, guys, you could go ahead and build this mod pretty easily. Soldering is decently easy, so and there's not that many points to solder. Okay, if you guys need any more information, please message me. Thank you for watching. Okay. Also destroyed a brand new Sony VTC4 while making it. If you look right here, you see that tape here. Well, I didn't have that tape here yesterday, and then all of a sudden it stopped firing. It just turned off on me, and I was looking here, and I was like, oh, I noticed this positive post here was kind of not making a good connection with the battery. So I went and I was fiddling with it, and then just started arcing and then smoking, and so I finally had my first battery failure. Okay, so I did vent the battery. Of course, this would vent much faster because it was at 8.4 volts. Now, this battery is still holding a charge. I didn't charge it, but it held its charge. It was at 4.2 volts. After it vented, it spewed out, gases, and then like I said, what I've always been saying, I had this open, so I just popped off one of the batteries and threw my mod. Luckily, I threw it onto the couch, so it did. My mod didn't totally get destroyed. I checked it out. This battery was destroyed. It still held a charge. I tried vaping on a little bit. In one of my most airiest mods, and it was hitting just fine. The only issue is that I did notice there was some fluid up here, so that means that the packet in here is pretty much bloated. I'm not going to use this. This is going to go in the trash, which sucks because I write the date on all my batteries that I'm using, and this one says 3/25/2014, which means that I actually just popped this open yesterday. So brand new battery that I have to throw away, which really sucks. So for you DIYers out there, please do watch out for your positive and negative terminals, especially when you're stacking batteries. You're doubling the voltage. It's going to kick real hard. Okay. With that being said, I do have 2 Sony VTC4 batteries that are fully charged. So I'm not going to use VTC4 batteries because this board does have a 3 amp switch. But right now, the only batteries I have are VTC4s. So I have no choice but to use them. It just kind of goes in like that. This side kind of goes in like this. And then if you click the power button on, you'll see that. So click it off. You click the power button on. Now you get the 4.8 volts. Let's try to adjust this volts here. Well, let's put an atomizer on here. Helios. The more and more I'm using this atomizer, the more and more I'm not liking it. It's probably the coil builds I have on here, but it's just not. I'll do a review on it. This is the clone, by the way. The legit one, I heard it was much better. Okay, so 4.8 volts. Let's go ahead and grab our screwdriver. Now, I was playing with it with my fingernail. It is very fingernail capable, but just for the sake of the video, let's see what volts this thing will actually go up to. Okay, so 4.9, 5, 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, 5.4, 5.5, 5.6, 5.7. Let's just speed it up there. Okay, around 6.5. 7.7. Okay, so with two 18650 batteries stacked, 7.7 is the highest you could go. Let's turn it back down. Let's take it all the way down to where I like to vape it at. Let's say 5.3. Alright. So 5.3 seems like a very good voltage. Let's go crank that up a little bit. Alright, well, I'm going to put it on 6.4 volts. But when I do pop these coils, it does drop it down to 5.5. Now, if I'm kind of reaching the limit of what that chip could handle, it just kind of sizzles me down to the 3 amp area, which with this ohm build, I believe is a 1.8 ohm, 1.7 ohm. I could hit 5.5. The higher ohms I go, the higher voltage I kick on it. This thing kicks like a freight train, guys. For a 3 amp build, it does kick pretty awesome. It actually works better with just your standard tanks. On dripping atomizers, it will work. It'll work just fine. It's just I'm so used to sub-ohming that I'm used to that kind of quality of vape. So that's just what I'm used to. Let's go ahead and give her a little blow. Wow, okay. This thing actually hitting harder than all my mods right now that I have set up on. Let's go take her down to 5.4 volts. Okay. So at 5.4 volts, you click it, it drops to 5.3, but that's the actual voltage being supplied to your atomizer. Oh my gosh, that's actually a very good performance. It's the first time I set it off the Helios. Whew, that's pretty good. So like I said, this box mod that I've built, it does kick very hard, okay? You're not using it to snap it off. Now, let's just use this this Evol, the Dovpo Fires ELVT. Set it at the same volts, 5.5 volts. Now I'm gonna tell you kind of, or 5.4 volts was it? Let's go 5.5. Okay. This is what I'm saying by this thing kicks real hard. I'm gonna take the same kind of draw. But the vapor production is not as predominant as this. Okay. It's not like this Crayola mod, the variable voltage mod that I built. The variable voltage mod actually does produce much more vapor. it does kick very hard for the voltage that I had it set on. Which is actually, I had it set on 5.4. So, on 5.5, and the difference is just so massive. I'm very shocked. I actually built this really well this time around. I actually did all the welding. And I did solder all the joints. I made the leads very short, as you can see, so that I don't create resistance. That is it. Well, that's tackle in the bottom, but everything else is done with epoxy. And the chip is below the battery case right there. You see the screw right there that I screwed into the post? I just used a piece of plastic. I epoxied the plastic onto the bottom base. The chip could kind of float up a little. Now I'm getting kind of scared because I already vented this one time, so it has that battery acid smell. But actually, it's perfectly safe after I put that electrical tape there. Let's go ahead and put a Nautilus tank on there. And like I said before, this thing kicks like a freight train. Alright, the VAMO is kind of my standard for how things should perform. At 4.5 volts, this thing does hit very hard. Okay, let's just go mouth along. Okay, so let's go take this VAMO off. Let's Nautilus off the VAMO and pop it onto my Crayola mod. And I'm going to go ahead and adjust that volt down to 4.5 because this thing is still going to kick like a freight train. So if you notice, for the most part, I click that, you hear it? It does not give me a voltage drop. It is a regulated volt, guys. So even on load, it will not give you a voltage drop. Most of the time. Man. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and move up the voltage a little bit. It does give me the same quality wave as the VAMO does. The VAMO is a 5 amp board, okay? So you can flow up to 5 amps of current, and that's what it kind of regulates to. This is a 3 amp board, but because just the setup itself, I go 5.4 volts. Just the setup itself, man, it's nuts. Oh my gosh. How this is set up, it freaking kicks like a freight train. I can't really tell you more than that. It works better than all my variable voltage mods, even on a 3 amp board. Awesome, awesome vape. Maybe put it up to the full. Let's go ahead. I don't really like tightening this 310 connector down too much. And let's tighten it down. Open up to the full setting. Oh my gosh. I'm getting RDA type performance out of this, which is amazing. I can't explain to you how amazing it feels to actually have produced such a fine product. Okay, this is a spring-loaded device. How interesting is that? I did not know that. Okay. This Helios coil, and I bumped it up to too high of a voltage. Alright, so past the 3 amp marker. So let's go crank this sucker up to, let's just say something like 7 volts. No, 6.5, okay? 6.5 volts, right? What happens when you press that switch is it'll give you the max amount of current it could output. The max amount of current it could output within that 3 amp limit, okay? So it's perfectly safe. You're not going to burn anything out. This thing did not perform like this in any of my other devices, so I am shocked. The higher ohms you go, the more voltage you kind of kick out as far as that goes. So I might do a 32 gauge compound build with this. Will it fire sub-ohm? Yes, it will fire sub-ohm. So what happens when you sub-ohm? When you press that and this thing goes under 3 volts, it will not display anything. So I am supplying less than 3 volts to the coil. Like I said, it's the same 3 amp limit thing, but it does fire. You hear that? But again, it's just better for higher ohmed coils. I recommend anything above 1.4 ohms is actually very much recommended when you do run this setup, because you'll be able to kind of crank up the voltage on that sucker, and then really draws out the performance. I was shocked at how well this Nautilus tank did perform on this, and I'm gonna go ahead and snap it on there. Again, firing just fine, no voltage drop even at 4 volts. But I prefer to actually crank this sucker up to about 5 volts ish. And I get a 0.1 voltage drop, but that's no big deal. Amazing vape quality, guys. Let's go ahead and open her up. Take another straight to lung draw. So this is off a tank with factory built coil. Amazing performance as far as that goes. Go ahead and switch that off. You have your pentometer there, your fire switch here. I'm using a 10 amp switch. I don't need to, but I am. You get away with 3 amp switch, but 5 amp switch is recommended. The connector here, I'm just using one of my old Egos that did blow up on me. A spare connector, I might also use that. I will be getting in these Vamo PCB chips, okay? I'll be getting them in pretty soon. You could pick up these PCBs, both of the ones on this PCB in here or the PCB in the Vamo, at www.soseliquid.com, soseliquid.com. Go ahead and check them out. They have good prices, pretty much everything. Just do that. All the fluid that I'm vaping, also you could buy it there. It's only like 2 of them. Besides that, this is what my wife vapes now. I kind of got this for her for a reason. Getting a low ohms signal, so. This Vamo is dead now. The connector on it has finally given out on me, so it does short by itself unless I push that rubber insulator in there, and the rubber insulator is loose, so I gotta do it every time I screw something on there. There we go. Now it should work. Yes. Awesome. Put that back there. That is 0 nic delta fruit, by the way, so there's no nicotine. I vape with nicotine, so please give me my Crayola box back. Go ahead and snap on this Helios, I guess you could say. Okay guys, so thanks for watching this Crayola variable voltage homemade mod video. If you have any questions about how I made this, if one of the pictures aren't that clear, or if I did skip a lot of steps, go ahead and message me and I'll reply back to you, or just leave a comment and I'll try to respond to that comment. With that being said, I am getting the Vamo PCB boards in, and I will be building it in this Hello Kitty enclosure. I love the Vamo PCB boards. It is a 5 amp limit. I love all the functions you could do with it. You could check the ohms on it. You control variable voltage, variable wattage, and all that mumbo jumbo. So that will be coming up soon. I just wanted to say, let me know in the comment section if you want to see a video like this where I just shoot pictures and then I narrate through it, or you want to see a video like the how to build a mechanical mod in Altoids box video where I do film everything and it's more detailed. Okay, even if I do kind of a build like this, I'll be taking more pictures. What I noticed in this video was there wasn't enough pictures to kind of guide people through. So if you do have a question on that, just go ahead and leave a comment or send me a message or something. Before I leave, I will end with a little tote from my current setup. It's the Omega dripping atomizer with a Nemesis with a 0.3 ohm coil, twisted 20 Canthal. And this is how I vape, guys. Alright, thank you for watching, and the how to build a Vamo PCB in your own enclosure will come up pretty soon.